as Shannon Sharpe dealt the final blow to Skip Bayless and Undisputed. Now, what is the issue between Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee? But before we get off into today's video, when you come across the video, do me a favor. Please like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you got your post notifications on so you'll know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. And if this is your first time coming across the channel and you're new to the platform, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, post your comments, share the video out. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Now, what we've seen in these recent days between Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee. Really don't know what's going on, really don't know what the beef is, but I sense a little jealousy. But before we get off into it, this video is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, the official sponsor of Simply Ball Dropping Podcast, the #1 rated ticketing app, over 28 million downloads, 70,000 plus events from concerts to sports, all your tickets across the web, all in one place, rated 1 to 10. Green means good, red means bad, and all your tickets are backed by your buyer's guarantee. And remember, use my promo code SimplyBallDropping at checkout to get $20 off your purchase. Now just remember, by using my promo code SimplyBallDropping at checkout, you're getting $20 off your purchase. Also, that means you're supporting the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Well, man, let's get right off into it, man. So like I said, over the recent days, man, there's been some accusations and some reports about Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee going back and forth. Now, what does that all stem from? It all stemmed from when Stephen A. Smith wanted to be the highest paid person on ESPN. Now, we already know what Pat McAfee brings to the network and what he brings, to all his viewers, man. And Pat McAfee is doing an exceptional job, and his show ratings is great. And Stephen A. Smith always wants to be the top dog. But if you recently remember, when Shannon Sharpe was on Undisputed and was let go by Undisputed, Stephen A. Smith sat down on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Club Shay Shay, and said, once I got word that you was going, I wanted you. I wanted to bring you in. We know the dispute that Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless had, and ever since Shannon Sharpe has left Undisputed and Skip Bayless, Undisputed is sinking. They're drowning. Throw them a life raft. And I think Shannon Sharpe has dealt the final blow to Skip Bayless because of the fact that he's branched off into the YouTube space with Club Shay Shay and Nightcap with Ocho, and they're setting record-setting numbers. One interview that he did with Cat Williams, everybody knows that, that thing had over 64 million views. He recently went on Club, Shay Shay and Nightcap, and he said, if you guys think that I made 500,000 on that interview, triple that. So basically, he's made from the range from $5 million up to $10 million off of that one interview, and he stated that he's made more off of that Cat Williams interview than he did in one single season that he played in the NFL. And his highest paycheck in the NFL for one season was $5 million. So Shannon Sharpe right now is setting the bar. Shannon Sharpe is the cash cow. And now ever since he's left Undisputed, them Undisputed ratings have went down the hill. They're probably averaging around about 50,000 viewers. You went from 564,000 viewers all the way down to 50,000 viewers once Shannon Sharpe left the show. Everybody tuned in to Undisputed to see their favorite uncle, and that was Shannon Sharpe. Now that he's left the show, that Undisputed has went downhill. And that leads me to say this. Now there is a rift between Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee. Now there was some reports out, and let's take a listen to what Stephen A. Smith said to address the reports between him and Pat McAfee. Take a listen.
I wanted to address a story that was printed just a couple of days ago in the New York Post, where folks were alluding to some dispute that I allegedly had with my colleague at ESPN, Mr. Pat McAfee.
little
There's a few
jealousy,
things
man.
that are incredibly important to say. Number one, there is no dispute whatsoever. Pat McAfee is my teammate. Pat McAfee and I work together at ESPN. There is no banishment from First Take or any other show. He is more than welcome to come on First Take in the future, and I'm going to be more than welcome to come on his show. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I'm going to try this one more time, not just relying on a statement or a quote that I issued through ESPN, but I'm going to look into the cameras and say this to you nationally and globally. I root for my teammates. I root for my colleagues. I don't root against anybody. The people out there who do that are idiots. A rising tide raises all boats. If you succeed, I succeed. I cannot tell you how thankful and grateful I am to Pat McAfee, to Shannon Sharpe, to Ryan Clark. The list goes on and on. Individuals who had the courage to go out there on their own and create a platform, which ultimately evolved into a business that they could then monetize, because you have linear networks and others willing to come on board and pay them for their content.
Now, you heard what Stephen A. Smith said. He doesn't, really hate on anybody. He says if they win, he wins. But it's becoming a point to where I think, me personally, that Shannon Sharpe has become the face of ESPN, even though he's only on there 3 days a week. But Shannon Sharpe is a bigger draw. I think the Stephen A. Smith era is kind of fizzling out, just like Skip Bayless. His time is up. He's treading on, thin ice. Shannon Sharpe dealt the final blow to him because of his record-setting numbers on what he's doing ever since he has left Undisputed. And you got to realize, Skip Bayless is trying to, do a podcast, and it's not being very successful. He has no guests come on his show. He does everything on his own, but the numbers don't speak for itself. Same thing with Stephen A. Smith. He has his own podcast as well, but he has guests on there as well. I think he got over like 500,000 subscribers. But at the same time, everybody is tuning in to Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. Nightcap has went over 1 million subscribers, and they have been on less than what Stephen A. Smith has since he started the show. Look at Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's a big draw, and I think it's to a point where I think Stephen A. Smith is a little jealous because these guys are performing well outside of ESPN on their own platforms. And Stephen A. Smith hasn't came to the realization that his show is not doing the numbers that Pat McAfee is doing. Also, the numbers that Club Shay Shay and Nightcap is doing. So I sense a little jealousy of Stephen A. Smith. And a lot of people, are trying to, tell Shannon Sharpe, man, basically, man, you might need to watch out for Stephen A. Smith. From afar, he might be hating on you from afar because you're being real successful now. And, if Stephen A. Smith happens to leave ESPN, it'll be in good hands with Shannon Sharpe and Pat McAfee. So I think it's a point where I think the rift between Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith, it's a little resentment, a little jealousy. But I think this is the Shannon Sharpe effect. Once Shannon Sharpe left Undisputed, got his own platform, came on ESPN, he is elevated, man. His numbers have climbed. And also, since he's been with ESPN, ESPN numbers have elevated as well. And you see what it's doing to Undisputed. They're at the bottom of the barrel. So I think there's a little jealousy, man, that's going around with this Stephen A. Smith. Man, you guys just let me know what y'all guys think in the comments, man. Please share the podcast out. Please give it a thumbs up. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And that's going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
Another one.